Ah, there you are. Welcome to Tired Art Student, the place where we let our minds wander through brushstrokes and sketchbooks, through gilded halls and quiet garrets, all at a pace soft enough to lull you towards rest. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to fall asleep during a meandering, slightly scatterbrained art history lecture, well, this is the place for you. Tonight's tale, Vincent van Gogh, a name so closely tied to myths and misfortune that the real man behind the paintings sometimes disappears entirely. But I promise, he was very real. Before we start, though, if you enjoy getting cozy with painters and pigments, I'd be ever so grateful if you'd tap that like button, maybe subscribe, and if you're still awake at the end of tonight's episode, leave a comment telling me what kind of sky you dream under. Now then, let's talk about Vincent. Section 1. Childhood, Early Career, and Arles. The year's 1853. We're in Zundert, a small, quiet village in the Netherlands, a place with flat fields, gray skies, and tidy little hedgerows. Vincent was born on March 30th to Theodorus van Gogh and his wife Anna. His father was a minister in the Dutch Reformed Church. Stern, devout, quiet, the kind of man who knew the Bible backward and forward, and maybe wasn't so good at understanding a young boy full of feelings and feverish energy. But here's where it gets strange. Vincent was the second Vincent. Exactly 1 year before he was born, his parents had another child, also named Vincent, who died during childbirth. He was buried in the churchyard, and his name and birthday were carved into a small gravestone. So, the second Vincent, our Vincent, grew up passing his own name on a grave, his own birthday just 1 year off. Imagine being a little boy walking to church every Sunday and seeing your name etched in stone. People always wonder where Vincent's sadness came from, where that sense of doom, of being misplaced in the world, came from. Maybe that's where it started. Vincent was a serious child, not unfriendly, but quiet, thoughtful. He preferred long walks in the countryside to games with other kids. He loved to look at things. Look, fields, trees, stones, faces. His mother had once hoped to be an artist herself, though those dreams gave way to domestic duties. Still, she sketched, and she encouraged her children to do the same. Vincent wasn't particularly good at school. He struggled to focus, to conform. He bounced between schools, didn't graduate. But his mind, it wandered in interesting ways. He had a younger brother named Theo, who was just a few years his junior. And this bond between Vincent and Theo would become one of the most important relationships of his life. Not just emotionally, but artistically, financially, and spiritually. If there's a hero in this story besides Vincent, it's Theo. At 16, Vincent took a job with Goupil & Cie, an art dealership where his uncle worked. The firm had offices in The Hague, London, and Paris. Vincent started in The Hague and showed promise. He had a sharp memory, a good eye, and a natural charm with clients. He was eventually transferred to the London office. Now imagine him there, a young man in a gray overcoat, walking the misty streets of Victorian London. He went to galleries, read Dickens, fell in love with a woman who didn't love him back. It unraveled quickly. He began to change, grew more serious, moody, started quoting scripture to clients, questioned the commercialism of art. Eventually, he was let go. After leaving Goupil, Vincent tried a number of paths: teaching, preaching. He decided he would become a minister like his father. He enrolled in theology school, but dropped out. Then he tried missionary work in the Borinage, a coal mining region in Belgium. And here's where things get beautifully strange. He moved in with the miners, gave away his possessions, slept on the floor, tended to the sick, preached kindness, not doctrine. The church dismissed him, said he was too extreme, too Christ-like, ironically. But something happened in that dark, smoky mining town. Vincent began to draw. He sketched the miners, the mothers, the worn-out hands and hollow faces. He saw beauty in their struggle, sacredness in their suffering. Theo, always Theo, encouraged him, sent money, art supplies, letters filled with gentle praise and practical advice. Vincent threw himself into art with a fury. He studied anatomy, copied master drawings, filled sketchbooks, drew until his fingers cramped. His early works were dark, browns, blacks, grays, earthy tones. He was obsessed with the working class, with boots, with fields, with old men smoking pipes in dim corners. He tried to attend art academies, but surprise, he clashed with instructors. He didn't follow the rules. He didn't want to paint the way they told him to. Instead, he studied on his own, read voraciously, copied prints, practiced perspective and proportion obsessively. Then he painted something that changed everything: the Potato Eaters. Painted in 1885, it's a grim, brown, heavy piece. A family gathered around a rough wooden table. Hands like gnarled roots. A hanging lamp casting shadows. It's not beautiful in a traditional sense, but it's honest, compassionate, and very Van Gogh. He sent a photo of it to Theo proudly. And critics hated it. But Vincent didn't stop. In 1886, he moved to Paris to live with Theo, who was now a successful art dealer. And this is where the color begins. Section 2, Paris, Arles, and Saint-Remy. So now we find Vincent in Paris, 1886, living with Theo in Montmartre. Paris was exploding with ideas. Impressionism had already shaken the art world. Degas, Monet, Renoir, and now a newer generation. Pointillism, symbolism, Japanese woodblock prints, exotic palettes, strange perspectives. Vincent arrived with muddy earth tones in his suitcase and discovered color. Theo introduced him to fellow painters: Bernard, Toulouse-Lautrec, Pissarro, Seurat. Seurat showed him pointillism, tiny dots of color placed side by side, vibrating optically. Lautrec showed him exaggeration and gesture. Bernard introduced him to Japanese prints, flat planes, bold outlines, nature as design. And just like that, Vincent began to change. He started painting with brighter pigments. Cobalt blue, chrome yellow, vermilion. He stopped mixing paint into mud and began placing colors side by side to let them breathe. His brushstrokes got looser, faster, more emotional. He began painting cafes, streets, his bedroom, shoes, chairs, people who looked tired or bored or honest. The world was waking up around him, and he tried to capture it all. But Paris was hard on him. Too many artists, too many ideas, too much smoke, too much absinthe. Vincent didn't thrive in crowds. He needed space, sunlight, simplicity. So in early 1888, he boarded a train and went south to Arles. He dreamt of building an artist community there, a studio in the south, a place where painters could live together and share ideas in the warmth of the Provençal sun. He rented a little yellow house, and for a time, a very brief time, he thrived. Arles in spring was everything he had hoped for. Fields of sunflowers, blossoming almond trees, soft skies, bright walls, blue shutters, olive groves, orange rooftops. He painted furiously. Some days, 3 paintings in one sitting. He wrote to Theo constantly, told him the colors here had more intensity of light. He spoke of chromes and cobalts like a man in love. He painted the famous sunflowers here. And the bedroom in Arles. And the night cafe. That strange red and green interior that practically hums off the canvas. But Vincent was still lonely. So he wrote to Paul Gauguin. Gauguin was a fellow painter, prickly, brilliant, arrogant. Vincent begged him to come and stay, sent sketches, covered travel costs, offered friendship. In October 1888, Gauguin arrived. For a few weeks, things were electric. They talked about art, argued about color, took long walks, painted side by side, but the tension grew. Gauguin favored abstraction and imagination. Vincent clung to nature and emotional truth. They argued, often, loudly. Vincent's mental health deteriorated. He felt unstable. He wrote strange letters. His mood swung from euphoric to despairing. And then came the incident. Late December 1888, after a particularly intense fight. Details vary, but some say there was a razor involved. Gauguin left the house in a rage. Vincent, in a fog of panic and emotional collapse, took a blade and severed part of his left ear. He wrapped it in cloth, went to a local brothel, and handed it to a woman named Rachel, reportedly saying, "Guard this object carefully." The next day, he was found unconscious and bleeding. He was taken to a hospital. Gauguin left Arles the next morning. The artist's dream of a shared studio had shattered. Vincent was alone again, hospitalized, confused, ashamed, but still he painted. He painted the Red Vineyard, the only painting he would ever sell during his lifetime. He painted self-portrait with bandaged ear, looking sideways, guarded and fragile. He painted the trees outside the hospital window, the doctors, the ward, always painting, always writing to Theo. His art became more and more urgent, color pressed to canvas like emotion made visible. But he needed more care. So, in 1889, he admitted himself to the asylum at Saint-Remy. Saint-Remy was quieter, more structured. He had a small room with barred windows and access to the garden. And again, he painted with intensity, with vision, with heartbreak. This is where he painted the Starry Night. Let's pause there. Imagine it. A view from his window, not exactly accurate, but filtered through Vincent's mind. A sky alive with swirling motion, stars like lanterns, the moon in motion, a cypress like a flame, a village invented, sleeping beneath it all. It wasn't a scene from life. It was a scene from spirit. Vincent once wrote, "Why, I ask myself, shouldn't the shining dots of the sky be as accessible as the black dots on the map of France?" To him, stars were destination, light was travel, painting was passage. In his time at Saint-Remy, he painted over 150 canvases, olive trees, cypress groves, portraits, interiors. The brushwork got looser, almost frantic. But the clarity, the emotion, the devotion to truth, that remained. He had fits, hallucination, periods of paralysis, but always, between the darkness, he painted. And Theo, always faithful, continued to send money, encouragement, hope. In May of 1890, Vincent left Saint-Remy and moved north to Auvers-sur-Oise, a quiet village near Paris, to be closer to Theo. He placed himself under the care of Dr. Paul Gachet, a physician with a passion for art and melancholy. Vincent was skeptical of him at first, called him sicker than I am, but he painted him anyway. He painted the fields around Auvers. The sky got heavier, the brushwork more restless. He painted wheat field with crows, a dark, windswept landscape full of tension and flight. On July 27, 1890, something happened in a field outside Auvers. Vincent was found with a gunshot wound to his chest. He managed to walk back to the inn where he was staying, pale and in pain. When asked what happened, he reportedly said, "I wounded myself." But in the years since, that story has been questioned. Some historians now believe the shooting may not have been self-inflicted. Perhaps it was an accident. Perhaps it was an altercation. There were young boys known to play with a faulty revolver nearby. Vincent may have taken the blame out of compassion, or simply weariness. We may never know for sure. What we do know is that Theo rushed to his side. And for 2 quiet days, the brothers sat together in the same silence that had always passed between their letters. Vincent died on July 29th, 1890. He was 37. Section 3, Legacy and Letting Go. After Vincent died, Theo couldn't recover. His health declined rapidly, emotionally and physically. Just 6 months later, Theo also passed away. He was only 33. The two brothers, bound by art, letters, and an impossible tenderness, were eventually buried side by side in Auvers-sur-Oise. Their graves are simple, covered in ivy, facing a French sky, together, even in the end. And then, for a while, the world forgot. Vincent's paintings were mostly in Theo's widow's possession, a woman named Johanna van Gogh, and in a quiet act of devotion, she began to publish Vincent's letters, hundreds of them to Theo, to other artists, to friends, letters full of poetry and paint and struggle. And slowly, people started to read. Those letters. Oh, those letters. They're where we hear his voice. Not just the sad man with the bandaged ear, not just the mad genius, but the real Vincent. The one who wrote about almond blossoms in spring and the pain of loneliness, about his love for Millet and Delacroix, about color and wind and shoes by the fire. He once wrote, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" As the letter spread, so did the paintings. Collectors began to take notice. Exhibitions were mounted. Posthumous fame bloomed like a sunflower, too late to see its own light. And then, one by one, the paintings were reinterpreted, admired, revered. Starry Night, The Bedroom in Arles, Irises, Wheat Field with Crows, The Yellow House, The Cafe Terrace at Night, self-portraits, so many self-portraits. Each one was a window into a man who felt too much and tried to make meaning out of it. But fame wasn't the goal, not for Vincent. He just wanted to find his place in the world. In one letter he wrote, "I feel there is nothing more truly artistic than to love people." That wasn't platitude. He meant it. His portraits weren't glamorous. They were honest. Tired mothers, old men, farmers, neighbors. He painted people the way he wanted to be seen. Not perfectly, but truthfully. And maybe that's why his paintings resonate now more than ever. Because they aren't about perfection. They're about feeling. And trying. About beauty in the ordinary. They are confessions in color. I like to imagine that Vincent, wherever he is, knows we're still looking. That we still gather in museums and linger quietly in front of the starry night. That we look at his crooked little bedroom and feel somehow seen. That we still talk about him, not as a madman or a myth, but as a man, a brother, a friend. So as you drift off tonight, think of a sky filled with swirling stars, of yellow fields that stretch past the edge of the canvas, of a painter who never stopped trying to say something true, of all the kindness and every brushstroke he left behind. Sleep well, my fellow tired art student. And remember, beauty isn't just in the galleries. It's also in your thoughts, your questions, and your quiet moments. Good night. The Letters of Vincent van Gogh. And if you're not quite asleep yet, here's some letters from Vincent van Gogh. A letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh, The Hague, August 1872. Dear Theo, many thanks for your letter. I was glad to hear you had arrived home safely. I missed you the first few days, and it felt strange not to find you there when I came home in the afternoons. We have had some enjoyable days together and managed to take a few walks and see one or two sights between the spots of rain. What dreadful weather! You must have sweltered from the heat on your walks to Oosterwijk. There was harness racing yesterday for the exhibition, but the illuminations and the fireworks were put off because of the bad weather, so it's just as well you didn't stay on to see them. Regards from the Hannebeek and Roos families. Always your loving Vincent. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh, The Hague, 13th of December, 1872. Dear Theo, what good news I've just read in Father's letter. I wish you luck with all my heart. I'm sure you will like it there. It's such a fine firm. It will be quite a change for you. I'm so glad that both of us are now to be in the same profession and in the same firm. We must be sure to write each other regularly. I hope that I'll see you before you leave. We still have a lot to talk about. I believe that Brussels is a very pleasant city, but it's bound to feel strange for you in the beginning. Write to me soon in any case. Well, goodbye for now. This is just a brief note dashed off in haste, but I had to tell you how delighted I am at the news. Best wishes, and believe me, always, your loving brother, Vincent. I don't envy you having to walk to Oosterwijk every day in this awful weather. Regards from the Roos family. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh, The Hague, January 1873. I'd heard from home that you had arrived safe and sound at Brussels and that your first impression was good. I know so well how strange you must feel in the beginning, but don't lose courage. You'll get on all right. You must soon write me how you are getting along and how you like your new boarding house. I hope it will be satisfactory. Father wrote me that you are on good terms with Mr. Schmidt. That is right. I think he is a good fellow from whom you can learn a great deal. What happy days we spent together at Christmas. I think of them so often. You will also remember them a long time, as they were the last days you spent at home. Don't forget to tell me what pictures you see and which you like the best. I am very busy now at the beginning of the year. My new year began well. They have granted me an increase of 10 guilders. I therefore earn 50 guilders per month, and they have given me a bonus of 50 guilders as a present. Isn't that splendid? I hope to be able to shift for myself now. I am very happy that you work in the same firm. It's such a splendid house. The more one works there, the more ambition it gives you. The beginning is perhaps more difficult than anything else, but keep heart. It will turn out all right. Will you ask Schmidt what the price of the album Corot lithographs by Emile Vernier is? Someone asked for it at the store, and I know they have it in Brussels. Next time I write, I'll send you my picture, which I had taken last Sunday. Have you already been to the Palace Ducal? Don't fail to go there when you get a chance. Well, boy, keep your courage up. All the friends send you their compliments and good wishes. Give my regards to Schmidt and Edouard, and write to me soon. Adieu. Your loving brother, Vincent. You know my address is Lange Wiestenmarkt 32, or Goupil & Co. Platz. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh, The Hague, 28th of January, 1873. Dear Theo, I was glad you answered me so soon and that you like Brussels and have found a nice boarding house. Don't lose heart if it is very difficult at times. Everything will come out all right, and nobody can in the beginning do as he wishes. How I pity Uncle Hein. I heartily hope he will recover, but, Theo, I fear he will not. Last summer, he was still full of enthusiasm and had so many plans, and told me that business was flourishing. It's very sad. Last Sunday I was at Uncle Cor's and spent a very pleasant day there, as you can imagine, and saw so many beautiful things. As you know, Uncle has just come back from Paris and brought some beautiful pictures and drawings with him. I remained in Amsterdam till Monday morning and went to see the museums again. Do you know that they are going to build a large new museum in Amsterdam instead of Trippenhuis? I think it is right, for Trippenhuis is small and many pictures are hung so that they can hardly be seen. How I should have liked to have seen the picture by Closenaire. I have only seen a few pictures of his, and those I liked very much. Tell me if the other picture is by Alfred Stevens, or else what the first name is. I know the photograph after the Rada, and have seen the picture at the exhibition in Brussels. Be sure to let me know what pictures you see. I am always glad to know. The album of which you gave me the title is not the one I meant, which is only lithographs after Corot. But I thank you for the trouble you have taken. I hope to get a letter from Sister Anna soon. She is rather laggard about writing of late. Do surprise her with a letter. That would be such a pleasure to her. I suppose you are very busy, but that is not bad. It is cold here, and they are skating already. I walk as much as I can. I wonder if you will have any chance to skate. Enclosed, you will find my photograph. But if you write home, don't mention it, as you know it is for Father's birthday. I have already sent you my congratulations upon that day. My best compliments to Uncle and Aunt, also to Mr. Schmidt and Edouard. Always your loving brother, Vincent. Kind regards from everybody at Hossenbeek's, Aunt Fee, and Rose. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh, The Hague, 17 March, 1873. Dear Theo, it is time for you to hear from me again. I am longing to hear how you and Uncle Hein are, so that I hope you will be able to find time to write me. I suppose you have heard that I am going to London, probably very soon. I do hope that we shall see each other before then. If there is any chance, I shall go to Havwart at Easter, but that depends on Ederson, who is always away on business. I cannot go away before he comes back. It will be quite a different life for me in London, as I shall probably have to live alone in rooms. I'll have to take care of many things I don't have to worry about now. I'm looking forward very much to seeing London, as you can imagine, but I'm still sorry to leave here. Now that it has been decided that I should go away, I feel how strongly I am attached to The Hague. Well, it can't be helped, and I tend not to take things too hard. It will be splendid for my English. I can understand it well enough, but I cannot speak it as well as I would wish. I heard from Anna that you had your picture taken. If you have one to spare, don't forget me. How is Uncle Hein? Not better, I'm afraid. And how is Aunt? Can Uncle keep himself busy, and does he suffer much pain? Give him my warmest regards. I think of him so often. How is business? I think you must be rushed with work. We certainly are here. You must feel at home in the business by this time. How is your boarding house? Does it still please you? That's an important thing. Be sure to tell me more about the pictures you see. A fortnight ago, I was in Amsterdam to see an exhibition of the pictures that are going from here to Vienna. It was very interesting, and I'm curious to know what impression the Dutch artist will make in Vienna. I'm also curious to see the English painters. We see so little of them because almost everything remains in England. In London, Goupil has no gallery, but sells only directly to art dealers. Uncle Vincent will be here at the end of the month, and I'm looking forward to hearing more particulars from him. The Hanneviks and Aunt Fee always ask how you are and send their best wishes. What delightful weather we are having. I enjoy it as much as I can. Last Sunday, I went out boating with Wilhelm. How I should have liked to stay here this summer, but we must take things as they are. And now adieu. Best wishes and write me soon. Say goodbye for me to Uncle and Aunt, Mr. Schmidt and Edward. I'm looking forward to Easter. Always, your loving brother, Vincent. Theo, I strongly advise you to smoke a pipe. It is a remedy for the blues, which I happen to have had now and then lately. I just received your letter. Many thanks. I like the photograph very much. It is a good likeness. I will let you know as soon as I know something more about my going to Helvoort. It would be nice if you could come on the same day. Adieu. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh. The Hague, 24th of March, 1873. Dear Theo, would you please find out if there's still a painting by Schotel in Brussels? It was sent here on commission May 6, 1870. Perhaps Uncle has already sent it back to Paris. But if not, please have it returned here immediately. We have a chance of selling it. But it is urgent. Last summer, I saw it at your gallery, so I think it may still be there. Give my compliments to Uncle and Aunt, Mr. Schmidt and Edward. I suppose you have got my letter already. Adieu, and best wishes, Vincent. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh. The Hague, 5th of May, 1873. Dear Theo, you must forgive me for having forgotten your birthday. My best wishes. I hope this year will be a happy one for you, and that you will like your work more and more. My time here is almost up. Next Saturday, I go home to say goodbye, and then on to Paris on Sunday. I fear, however, that it will be Monday before I can start, and that I shall have to stay over in Helvoort on Sunday. I hope that I shall be able to write you when I'm passing through Brussels in time. I may not be able to, as I do not know for sure when I have to be in Paris. How are Uncle and Aunt? Have they moved already? You must write me about this soon. My address is below. I am writing in a hurry. As you can imagine, I'm very busy. Adieu. Best wishes. Compliments to Uncle, Aunt, Mr. Schmidt, and Edouard. Always your loving Vincent. V.W. Van Gogh, care of Messrs. Goupil and Co., 17th Southampton Street, Strand, London. Don't forget to write V.W. Van Gogh, otherwise it might be confused with Uncle Vincent mail, since he is only called V, you know. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh, The Hague, 9th of May, 1873. Dear Theo, Monday morning I leave Helvoire for Paris, and I shall pass Brussels at 2:07 p.m. Come to the station if you can. I should be so glad to see you. I must not forget to tell you that I showed your photograph to Mrs. Tersteeg, and she would very much like to have one. Is there a chance of you having another and sending it to me? If not now, maybe another time. Theo, you have no idea how kind everybody here is to me, and you can imagine how sorry I am to have to leave so many friends. Adieu, boy. Compliments to Uncle and Aunt. Hope to see you soon. Vincent. Inquire if you have to be at the North or the South Station. Letter from Reverend Van Gogh to Theo van Gogh, Zundert, 1873. 31st of May, 1873. Reverend Van Gogh to Theo. We have had a nice letter from Vincent. He is living in the outskirts of London, and in the mornings at 8:30 he goes into the city in a little steamer, which takes him an hour. He dines in town and comes home at 7. His lodgings are quite expensive, but he doesn't yet know what his salary will be. So far, he likes it very well, and Uncle Cent has seen to it that he meet some people. Mother, let that be your greatest joy and care. Then you'll become clever and reliable and make yourself indispensable. And this way you will have chosen the best way to be spread from temptations that you will certainly meet just like any other boy. And you remain our crown and our honor and our joy, just like Vincent, who had great satisfaction. Aren't you glad he does so well? He had so much pleasure in Paris. He had dinner with the Caillou family, and he found the interior of the gallery splendid. Who knows if you may not work there too, sometime in the future. Our Vincent wrote that he bought a top hat. You cannot be in London without one. 2nd of July, 1873. Reverend Van Gogh to Theo. He, Vincent, gets £90, 1,080 guilders a year, yet he has to be economical because of the high cost of living there. His boarding house and his dinner cost him 890 guilders a year. He is very happy with the firm. He is not quite used to his work yet, but the tone of his letters is one of satisfaction. 25th of August, 1873. Reverend Van Gogh to Theo. Vincent is doing well in London. We get cheerful letters. He has moved in order to live more economically, as his former boarding house became too expensive, and he has found a good one for 180 guilders a year less. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to Theo van Gogh, London, 13th of June, 1873. Dear Theo, my address is care of Messrs. Goupil and Co., 17th Southampton Street, Strand, London. You must be eager to hear from me, so I will not keep you waiting any longer for a letter. I hear from home that you are living with Mr. Schmidt now, and that father has been to see you. I certainly hope that this will please you better than your former boarder house. but I'm sure will. I am very anxious for a letter. Write me soon and tell me how you spend your day, etc. You must tell me especially what pictures you have seen lately, and also if any new etchings or lithographs have been published. Let me know as much as you can about these things, for I do not see much of them here, as it is only a wholesale house. Considering the circumstances, I am doing pretty well. So far, the boarding house where I am staying pleases me. There are also 3 German boarders who are very fond of music. They play the piano and sing, so we spend very pleasant evenings together. I am not so busy here as I was in The Hague. I work only from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening, and on Saturdays we close at 4 o'clock. I live in one of the suburbs of London, where it is relatively quiet. It reminds me of Tilburg, or some such place. I spent some very pleasant days in Paris, as you can imagine. I enjoyed all the beautiful things I saw at the exhibition and in the Louvre and the Luxembourg. The house in Paris is splendid and much bigger than I thought, especially the one in the Place de l'Opéra. Life is very expensive here. My accommodation alone cost me 18 shillings a week, washing excepted, and then I still have to take my dinner in the city. Last Sunday, I went to the country with Mr. Obach, my principal, to Box Hill, and it is a high hill about 6 hours by road from London, partially chalky and overgrown with box, and on one side, a wood of high oak trees. The country is beautiful here, quite different from Holland or Belgium. Everywhere you see charming parks with high trees and shrubs. Everyone is allowed to walk there. At Easter, I made an interesting excursion with the Germans. But these gentlemen spend a great deal of money, and I shall not go out with them in the future. I was glad to hear from home that Uncle Hein's health is good. Give him and Aunt my best, and tell them something about me. Give my compliments to Mr. Schmidt and Edward, and write to me soon. Adieu. Best wishes, Vincent. Letter from Vincent van Gogh to the Van Stockholm Hannebeek family. The envelope is addressed to W. J. Van Stockholm, Esquire, Varkenschmat, The Hague, 2nd of July, 1873. Dear friends, I should have liked to write sooner, and now I will not postpone it any longer. How are you? I heard that your house has been smartened up, and that all is well for you. I hope very much you will drop me a line when you have a moment to spare. All is well with me. I see much that is new and beautiful, and have been quite fortunate in finding a good boarding house, so that on the whole, I feel quite at home already. Yet I do not forget The Hague, and should very, very much like to spend an evening in the Poten and look in on you two. The business here is only a stockroom, and our work is quite different from what it is in The Hague. But I shall probably get used to it. At 6 o'clock, my work is already done for the day, so I have a nice bit of time for myself, which I spend pleasantly, taking walks, reading, and letter writing. The neighborhood where I live is quite beautiful, and so quiet and intimate that you almost forget you are in London. In front of every house there is a small garden with flowers or a few trees, and many houses are built very tastefully in a sort of Gothic style. Still, I have a good half-hour's walk to get to the country. We have a piano in the sitting room, and there are also 3 Germans living here who are fond of music, which is very pleasant. One of the finest sights I have seen is Rotten Row in Hyde Park, where hundreds of ladies and gentlemen ride on horseback. In all the parts of town, there are beautiful parks with a wealth of flowers, such as I have never seen anywhere else. Enclosed I am sending you a copy of a poem by Van Beers, which you possibly do not know. Our Elizabeth copied it for me on my last evening in Helvoire because she knew I thought so much of it. It is genuine Brabant. I thought you would read it with pleasure, and therefore I copied it for you. It was very considerate of your sister Marie to send me the announcement. I long to hear something of the wedding, and I congratulate you all. Will you kindly let me have a list of your birthdays sometime? I did have one, but I lost it. And now, goodbye. Remember me to everybody in the Potin, and good luck to you all. Excuse the bad handwriting. It is late, and time to go to bed. Sleep well. Vincent. And here's the poem he mentioned. A literal translation. The evening hour. The toll of the curfew calling to prayer resounded lazily across the fields, which blissfully lay bathed in gold on the evening sun. Right in front of him lay the village, with hills to the north and to the south, between whose ridges the sun, sinking in the west with a crimson blush, poured forth its whole wealth of colors and the magic of its rays. Now, the little bell with the gray steeple veiled in dark green was silent. The brown sails of the mills on yonder height hung motionless. The foliage was still, and over the cottages, little puffs of peat smoke, tinged with blue, rose so straight from the chimneys that they too seemed to hang motionless in the tingling air. After the sun's good-night kiss, it was as if this hamlet, this field, these hills, everything around, silent and graceful, once more recalled the richness and the peace they had enjoyed before wrapping themselves in the cloak of evening dew to sleep. Farther on, but just behind the narrow footpath, followed by the painter, the sudden loud peal of cheering met his ears. Swaying to and fro, a wagon came rumbling toward him, piled high with the harvest of buckwheat. Horses and freight were decked with fluttering ribbons and flowering branches. Children, each with a wreath of flowers around his little flaxen head, sat atop it, brandishing alder twigs, or raining down a shower of leaves and flowers, whilst below, around the wagon, a crowd of servants, lads and lasses, leaped and sang, so as to startle the whole slumbering plain. Behind the shrubs, the silently smiling painter watched. The noisy throng wind in its sway along the bumpy road, and thus, pondering the calm and deep delight the soul savors in the country, or, with his artist's mind reconstructing in silent rapture the whole glorious scene of a short while ago, he came, without perceiving himself, sauntering into the hamlet. In the west, the purple and yellow had already faded to gray, and in the east, quite close to the little church, the full copper-colored disk of the moon, lightly shrouded in the haze of the gloaming, had risen when he entered the Swan, the inn where he was the inn where he was lodging. Jan Verbeers, the pauper. Sleep well.